Ooh.
Yeah, exactly. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on the behind-the-scenes recording of our show. This is Mark Torres, the Came from the Radio host for today for our live show, courtesy of the East Meadow Public Library. This is our 57th live show, and I am here with none other than L-Man Jenny Feldy.
Hello.
And we have Dominic Definition Man Spawn will be joining us shortly, but we have our special guest who we're going to be talking to within about. We have Nita Lanning. Say hi, Nita.
Hi.
And for her co-host, she were on co-guest, we have none other than Daphne Lage.
Hello.
All right, so this is being recorded onto our YouTube page, and this will be broadcast on our show. So without further ado, since it's time, is everybody ready?
Yep.
Ready.
All right, here we go.
Feedback is good.
The following is brought to you in part by MFC Studios. The views of the show's host and guests do not necessarily reflect those of the management, owners, or staff of this radio station. And now, it came from the radio.
Yapatoy, and welcome once again to It Came from the Radio, the official of the Big Apple Con. This is your host, Mark Torres, speaking. We are here live in front of a virtual audience for our 57th live show, courtesy of the East Meadow Public Library. That's www.eastmeadow.info. And I am here with none other than L-Man Jenny Feldy.
Good evening.
And we have our special guest who we're going to be talking to, with, and about. We have none other than owner and CEO of Ragin 2 Services and Promotions, LLC, Nita Lanning.
Hi.
And we have a co-host, which
emotional support animal.
Yeah, which is a friend of the show and a comic book creator in her own right, and a comic book publisher, Daphne Lage.
Hello.
So we're going to be talking to, with, and about Nita, and Daphne will join in as she feels fit.
Yeah.
Because it's awesome, because they're here, which makes our life so much easier. But before we do any of that, we have to take it away with the news. The news is brought to you in part by the fine folks of sci-fi.radio. That's sci-fi for your Wi-Fi. As well as the fine folks at the Big Apple Con, which we are the official radio show of, celebrating over 6 years of comic book stuff and pop culture news. For more information, go to www.bigapplecc.com. Their next convention is scheduled for December, all the way in December 17th is their Big Apple Christmas Con. Tickets are actually on sale right now. You want to get your tickets in super early. And I want to give out shout outs to our Patreons, of which there are Danny Grillo, award-winning director Jared Burrell, Kyle Horn, Millie Portez, Newsday famous Dresden Media, Unjikun, Shadow Rabbit Art, Yasmin Ray, and Rosa. You want to have your own little shout-out? Go to our website, www.camefrayer.com. There's a little button on there that takes you right to our Patreon page, and you can support us for just $1 a month and get a shout-out on our show. As always, we start off with the sad news, and we only have one bit of sad news for this week.
Yeah.
So, yay! Are you celebrating the fact that we have sad news, or the fact that we only have one bit of sad news?
The less the better. One bit is great. It's always a struggle for me every time.
So, sad news. Artist Ken W. Kelly died recently.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And as of this recording, which is June the 8th of 2022, no cause of death has been announced. In his over 50-year career, Ken was perhaps best known for his Frank Frazetta-inspired work with amazing fantasy covers on heavy metal albums such as Kiss and Manowar, as well as cover art on creepy and eerie magazines published by Warren Publishing. Of note, Ken was the nephew of Frank Franzetta's wife, Eleanor. So early in his career, he was able to study the paintings up close and personally in the studio. I actually got to meet Ken at a con, and I think our senior correspondent, Charlie Saladino, interviewed him. Very nice guy, talented individual. His work is amazing if you see it in printed form. But if you see it up close, it's even more amazing. L-Man Jenny Philly, are you familiar with Ken Kelly's work? Kiss covers, any of that stuff?
Go ahead.
No, because I'm just remembering like sitting across from his booth twice at Eternal Con.
Did you actually get a chance to go over and talk to him?
No, not really. But I one memory that really stands out is that some guy was goofing around with a guitar and was trying to like sing in the middle of an aisle and next to his table, and Ken Kelly actually reached over and he goes, no, and grabbed the neck of the guitar and then told the guy, like, you are not singing here.
Wow. Was it nice singing? Was it pleasant?
No, that was the problem. Like the guy had, it's like he was doing like this goofball screechy voice singing that was just like, he thought it was funny, but nobody else did. So that's like my main memory.
I wonder if his voice was lower and more calming. Maybe it would have passed, because I can't do screechy sounds. I start getting crazy.
And it's you know what? Nobody in the aisle blamed him. Let's just say that.
Yeah, he did a service. So it's good that some people can't speak up. So that's pretty cool. He spoke up for himself. I'm actually looking at one of his artworks, Diablo. It reminds me of Daphne's art. I hope you take it a good way.
No, yeah, it's Ken Kelly. It's like, I spent like 2 conventions just spending the entire weekend staring at his artwork. I think at the Eternal Con one, he had the original To the Kiss paint to the Kiss album on display. So it's like I got to see that all weekend.
What about you, Nita? Are you familiar with Ken's work? Were you a fan?
Vaguely, yeah. Just I know the album covers.
Right. Yeah. It's those things where it's like, it when you see it. Right. That's like, oh yeah, I've seen, it's kind of like when you've never seen like Roger Dean's work before, or it's like you say, oh yeah, I've seen that all the time, and you just didn't know who it was.
Yeah. So he was a spry 76 years old. So that's it for the sad news. We move on to the not as sad news.
Thank God.
From the Scream No More department. None other than actress Neve Campbell has announced that she will not be reprising her role as Sidney Prescott in the next Scream sequel, which is part 6, for those of you keeping count. Neve says, as a woman, I have to work extremely hard in my career to establish my value, especially when it comes to Scream. I felt the offer that was presented to me did not equate to the value I have brought to the franchise. It has been a very difficult decision to move on. To all my Scream fans, I love you. You've always been so incredibly supportive to me, and I'm forever grateful for you to what this franchise has given me for over the past 25 years. This goes back to our discussion that we had recently about actor voice John DiMaggio and his quote-unquote holding out on returning to the new Futurama series on Hulu. Do you think that A, the studio should just pay whatever the talent wants because they are what made the franchise, or B, do you feel that the talent has an obligation to the fans to show up no matter what price they want to give? Let's start with Nita. What do you think of that?
I'm kind of somewhere in the middle with that. Like, I don't think that, I think some of these people will really overvalue themselves. And then I think it does a disservice to the fandom when they don't. So
what's your let's say, what's your favorite property? What's your favorite TV show? Just throw it out there.
I'm not a big TV person.
Favorite movie? Favorite movie?
My favorite movie right now would be The Dark Crystal, even still to this day.
Okay, perfect. They're actually they're talking about, I don't know if they're talking about it or they're actually going to make a new Dark Crystal movie. And let's say, who was name? And throw out any actor who was in that movie.
Well, Mark Hamill played he played the scientist. I forgot the title.
Okay, perfect. So
right.
Mark Hamill. So let's say Mark Hamill wants $1 billion because he's now Mark Hamill.
Like I said, overpriced themselves.
Would you be like, hey, Mark, take a pay cut to be in this movie? But if the studio's like, well, we'll give you $10, you should be in the movie for the fans. You already have $1 billion. You got Star Wars money. It's an interesting gray thing. What would you support the project if that had happened?
I'm still conflicted, man. I mean, I don't think a scenario is going to change that, because I only recently have I started understanding that my time is valuable. And that's partially thanks to Daphne. And so, yeah, you have to place the value in your time and your talent, and what you do. $10? Nah, bro.
All right. Oh man, Jenny Feldy, as an actress, this actually goes right down your wheelbarrow. do you find that you have an obligation to the fans to take lower money than what you feel you're worth? Or should the studios, because you're the one that helped create this property in the first place to give them all this money, should charge more and be paid for what you're worth?
Well, I've never thought of, having an obligation to fans as far as performing goes, but I feel like getting back to people, responding to comments. Well, okay. I'd like to know what the offer was that was too low, so we could see what makes sense. What's too low for her? What's too high for the studio? That's a really big detail that I would need to know. But I will tell you, I shot film on Monday, and it's like Sunday's all day prep, Monday's shooting, Tuesday's podcast and recovering, and I'm still kind of tired today. So that's kind of like 3.5 days was a wash just from like a 1-day shoot of 1/8 of the movie, and then I'm shooting again on Saturday. So shooting movies takes over your life. So if she has a personal life, which is very hard to have a personal life, that's what you're getting paid for, basically skimping on not seeing family and friends, and these people are going to die and you're going to be out shooting movies. That really is the cost. You're sacrificing quality time. So what's it worth? That's the way I see it.
And joining us is our very own Dominic Definition Man Toronto.
Hello, everybody.
Oh,
So do you have
Hi.
a thought on Sydney Prescott in stream, or yes, no? Did you hear that bit of news, or were you just joining us as we were talking?
I was just joining us. What's the bit of news?
Sydney's not coming back. She doesn't like the pay amount, basically.
Yes, basically that's it.
Scream 6, Nev Campbell's not coming in.
So of note, the last Scream movie pulled in $81 million in domestic box office against a $24 million budget. Scream 6 in the next installment is scheduled to open March 31st of 2023 with, spoilers, will have the 4 survivors of the previous film's killings leaving Woodsboro behind and start a fresh chapter. I saw the Scream movie. I thought it was all right. It was nice having the original cast back. I think they did that balance like Cobra Kai does, which, honor the originals, have the new people in there. I think it's sad, and I hope that there's still enough time for them to make changes to negotiation.
So basically, Nev Campbell's not coming back because she wants more money.
The studio doesn't want to pay them enough. You never really know. You never know.
Either or. She was really good in The Lincoln Lawyer.
There you go. See, so she has another job. So there you go. Screw Scream.
She's a good actress. She'll get other work.
So
true.
moving on from the That's a Lot of Nuts department.
I'm glad I didn't miss that department.
The new Top Gun sequel has held on to the #1 spot in domestic box office, pulling in an additional record-breaking $90 million in ticket sales in its second week of release. So now, in addition to it being the biggest Memorial Day weekend ever, beating out Pirates of the Caribbean Part 3 at $139 million way back in 2007, and being Tom Cruise's biggest opening ever, followed by War of the Worlds remake at $64 million, also way back in 2005. It now has the biggest second weekend gross, which means the lowest drop-off of any big budget film, beating out Shrek Part 2 way back in 2004. So for those of you keeping track, the new Doctor Strange film is still the highest grossing film of 2022 this year with $389 million, followed by The Batman with $369.3 million. Top Gun in its second week is already at number 3.
That's pretty good.
Did anybody see Top Gun? Let's start with that. Any Top Gun watchers? Okay.
Not me.
Well, then how are they making all
yet.
the money if we're not going?
That's a good question.
Obviously, everybody else is going but us. We're the non-people going to this movie. I think it's crazy how we're still in a pandemic, by the way, people forget. But this is...
Are we? No. Fauci said he ended it. We're not in a pandemic. Fauci declared that a couple of weeks ago.
So
that's officially over now.
And whatever Fauci says is probably the truth. So
that's why this movie's making all the money.
Fauci's the science. He said he is the science.
So that's why this movie's making all the money. Because, all right, so pandemic is over. Everybody go see Top Gun, record-breaking film.
And Val Kilmer is in it, apparently.
Yes. I think, it's already at number 3. I think it'll easily be the highest grossing movie of this year. And I wonder what's going to be the movie to knock it off, or if it will get knocked off.
I'll tell you what I'd like to knock it off. It says it grossed all this money. Les Grossman, another Tom Cruise movie, is going to be shooting soon. That's exciting. Les Grossman, the agent from Tropic Thunder, getting his own movie.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
There's a good chance that Thor: Love and Thunder might do it.
I don't see it. I don't see it. So let's
Possible.
see. So speaking of Top Gun,
Are there any other like sequels that people have been waiting 30 years to see?
Mm.
not that I can think of. No.
Mm,
Goonies.
They've been talking. That's been
that would
kicked
be kind
around.
of cool.
That's
Or
been,
they will.
and what's his name? Short Round. He actually is now a name because of that movie. He was in Everything All at Once with Michelle
Right.
Yeoh.
Yeah.
He played the male lead, so now he's a hot property. So they might now think about bringing back Goonies with him in it because
And he'll
Oh.
want too much money, right?
yes, exactly. He'll want too much money. So
Yeah.
speaking of Top Gun, from where there is money, a lawsuit is sure to follow department.
Always going to be a lawsuit.
Paramount is being sued for distributing the new Top Gun sequel without the legal authority to do so. For those of you who may not be aware, the original Top Gun film was based on a 1983 article in California magazine titled Top Guns with an S. The article's author, who died in 2012, his widow and his son filed a notice in 2018 reclaiming the copyright to the story, which took effect in 2020. So here's where the tricky part comes in. The sequel was originally due out in 2020, which obviously is fine because, the copyright ends in 2020. But due to the now past pandemic, actual filming was delayed until May of 2021, which means that, according to the lawyers, Paramount no longer holds the copyright to the magazine story. And, quote, distributed Top Gun Maverick without obtaining a new license to the underlying material. The lawsuit seeks damages as well as an injunction that would bar Paramount from distributing the film. Nita, do you think that they have a leg to stand on in this lawsuit?
Man, you know how that goes with the legal stuff. Everybody's got a leg to stand on for anything, whether it's bizarre or not. But just
So, do you think that well, first of all, if it holds true, just imagine how much money they have.
oh yeah, for sure.
I severely doubt that it's going to go to court. I think they're just going to settle it out of court.
Yeah,
personally.
they'll end up settling. It's not worth their time.
But it's a matter of how much is the settling going to be. Man, Jenny Feldy, what do you think of this?
Well, the original Top Gun was based on an article in California magazine.
Correct.
I mean, a whole movie.
Yeah, right.
I didn't know. This is very interesting. So what about people that have like parody characters and personalities based on like Britney Spears or something?
Parody is different. Parody goes under the you can do that because what's the greatest parody? Weird Al Yankovic. He did not ever have to go out to approach any of the artists to make a parody song, but he always did because Weird Al Yankovic is like the top-notch guy. And there's a story that goes around that he had asked Coolio to do Amish Paradise. And Weird Al Yankovic said that he thought he got permission from the agents or whatever, but Coolio said he did not get permission and he better stay away from me. So Weird Al Yankovic's response is that I'm definitely going to stay away from Coolio.
I thought they did patch that up though.
Maybe, but
did he do the parody?
He did. It was
Amish
Paradise.
But no legal problems.
Though. Right, because it's parody. It's fair and free use as a parody, so we can make
Top Gun maybe should be a parody then.
It is
actually reminds me of two things. So number one is that there is a Mystery Incorporated crowdfunding TV series that they're trying to make. The first episode was funded. And it was pretty darn good. But it was like more of a dark type of a Scooby-Doo type thing. And they had like a dog. It's like live action. And I sent them a message. I was like, this is really good. But how are you able to skirt the legal issues? And they replied, we call it a parody.
Oh,
so
this is good.
They're allowed to do it as a quote unquote parody, even though it was dead serious. It was super dead serious and very dark, but they can call it a parody.
Does a parody immediately mean it has to be funny?
I don't know.
Right.
Well, I guess being something funny is open to interpretation.
Right.
That's kind of the theme of the day: satire and parody. Now.
And there was this other thing that reminded me. Pre-pandemic, there was this guy running. He was Run Tom Run, I think was his website. So it was a Tom Cruise lookalike who was quote unquote running for president, where he was literally running because that's one of Tom Cruise's things is to run in all his movies. So he was running for president, and he was as a parody. So that was the joke. You're perfectly free and clear to use parodies. So
Very
let's
interesting.
see. It is. I think it's very interesting, and we'll find out what happens.
God, I don't
All right,
know.
so moving on. Let's do this one. From the merchandising spoils the show department. Much like with Star Wars and Avengers Endgame, and really any toy-related film before it, Netflix's Stranger Things Season 4 has been spoiled by, of all things, a Monopoly game based on a series. Turns out that the images from the board game's cards have found their way online and spoil major plot points in the new episodes that have yet to be aired. What makes this extra interesting is that while Netflix wasn't happy about the mishap, the show's creators, the Duffer Brothers, according to reports, weren't even consulted about the game at all.
Ooh.
Okay, that's a little problematic.
Yeah, that's an issue.
So, Nita, if you had a property that you made and you had a deal with Netflix, and you have secrets and spoilers, and a game that you didn't even know about comes out that ruins the surprise, how mad would you be?
I would. That's annoying. That's a problem. That's a problem.
Are you so annoyed that you're going to bring a lawsuit, or you're just going to stew in your money that you're making off of the deal?
Dude, I would not be upset with someone who did.
So what is it? I don't condone it, but I understand.
Or yeah, I would understand. I would understand. It's not my bag. I would just be like, oh, that sucks, But yeah, no, I hate spoilers.
What about you, Daphne? You've had properties and you've have stuff. So if you had your multi-million-dollar contract with Netflix, as actually we were talking about this.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah. So if somebody made a Monopoly game based on your property and spoiled things about your comic, how mad would you be?
I would be very mad, because it's like, I guess kind of dovetailing with the story from the beginning. Who never not makes money? It's the executives. They never seem to have to take a pay cut. They never seem to have to lower their salary requirements, no matter the property. But everybody else around them seems to have to do it. So yeah, I say sue everybody. Sue everybody. Ask for all the money.
Dominic, do you join in on that?
Yeah, when in doubt, sue people.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not litigious. Yeah,
It never not
continue.
works.
What about you, Jen?
This just sounds crazy. So Top Gun's based on an article.
You're
Oh, you're still on Top Gun?
Yeah, well, no, here's
Right,
the thing.
Right,
Top Gun's based on an article, which takes how long? Maybe a day or a couple hours to put together. But you have a whole series, which takes people's blood, sweat, and tears and so much sacrifice. And then someone made a Monopoly game profiting without. I mean, don't you think the series should sue? I mean,
well, obviously Netflix let them make the Monopoly game because remember where's the money at? Merchandising.
So it's through Netflix.
So
that's
Netflix
what gave them permission,
said,
but not the
Netflix
show
said,
creators.
Correct. And Netflix
Yeah,
is like,
but the show creators are the show creators.
Make the property, make the game, go forth. But they did not know that the game was going to have spoilerific cards.
But forget even spoilers.
Whoa.
If I create a show and then sell it to a streaming platform, and then
Right.
there's games and merchandise made without consulting me, the maker,
Yeah.
then the streaming platform is exploitative.
Well, yeah, that goes without saying.
Beyond exploitative. I mean, that's why this type of stuff is why I like to distribute things myself. And people say, why won't you publish your book? It's like, because I want people to get it from me. I don't want a third party involved at all. I don't want anyone producing my show. I want to do everything myself. Yeah.
All right, fair enough. So
I heard there's going to be massive spoilers in the Sandman series coming up in Netflix. Apparently, there are these 10 comic books you can read and tell you the entire story ahead of time.
Really?
Yeah,
What a concept.
I know. It's massive spoiler right there.
All right, so moving on for the last bit of news.
You sure you want
Yes, from the editor insert clip right here department.
Don't speak. We got to let the editor insert the clip.
In Canada, on January 31st of this year, 2022, a storage facility unit belonging to John Roma was burglarized, and the culprits stole more than $10,000 worth of comic books. After the break-in, John checked out local comic book stores, pawn shops, and scoured the internet in search of his stolen property. Later in February, John saw what he believed to be one of his comics listed for sale on Facebook Marketplace, of all places. John says, my collection is something I worked very long to build and something I was very proud of. When I got the news that my storage unit was broken into, I was devastated to hear this. As a collector, you become aware of what's yours. You look for markings, something I know was mine. And sure enough, there was a posting of comic books for sale, and I knew one of these books was mine because it had particular markings on the title of the book. John then posed as a potential buyer, arranged to meet with the seller at a local coffee shop, inspected the book, took a photo of the car and the license plate, and called the cops. John says, then I greeted them at the door. I asked them, how would you like to handle this? And you can see by the expression on their faces, they thought they were going to get money. They were both shocked, and I was shaking in anger because I was ready for a duel with the guy if he began any trouble. The culprits were subsequently arrested, found guilty, and sentenced to 120 days in jail without any incident. John says, is 120 days in jail enough? No, it's not. Well, I don't know the law, and I have to be happy that he is being punished. I had to find some peace in that. The police says, members of the public who locate their stolen items for sale on an online sale site should be contacting the police to report finding them, as they should be placing themselves in danger by meeting a suspect and or more so by confronting them about the crime. L-Man Jenny Feldy, what do you think about this man taking his matters into his own hand to get his books back?
He reminds me of an ex-boyfriend who him and his dad found a burglar in their house in Nicaragua, and they hogtied him by themselves, put them in a pickup truck, drove him to the police station, handled it themselves. And I was like, wow, it's very DIY in Nicaragua. So I don't know. I mean, if you have the abilities to take care of things, I don't really like outsourcing, as I just said before. Yeah, do it yourself. And if you screw me over, I'm going to handle it myself with my people, because that's who I trust. I don't even trust my people. I trust myself. So yeah, I'm probably not going to call the cops if anyone screws me over. It's going to be handled properly. So good job. Yeah.
All right, Nita, what about you? Somebody breaks into your little studio right there.
Yeah, dude.
Takes everything.
Yes, because if the idiot is dumb enough to post it on Facebook Marketplace, I'm sure I can take them down. Like, seriously. When I was a kid, my bike was stolen. And we found a classified ad that described a bike that sounded very similar to mine. I wanted to go check it out. My mom didn't. She was like, let it go, yada, yada. We called the police department and whatnot. They came out and took a report or whatever, but they weren't out actively looking for my bike. And when you're a kid, your bike is everything to you. So I pretended to be sick and found my way to the guy's house the next school day. And I got on my freaking bike myself and rode my bike home.
You stole back your bike.
I stole back my bike.
What about you there, Dominic? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, it's funny because I had just heard an interview with Ben Stiller on Howard Stern, and he had a very similar experience happen to him when he was a child, that someone stole his bike, and his dad, Jerry Stiller, best known from Seinfeld, and he was apparently a very, very nice guy. And he goes and he was all in a huff and he was going to go find this kid, and he found the kid and to get the bike back. And then he actually saw the kid's living conditions, and he left and he said, we'll buy you a new bike. The kid needs it more than you.
Wow.
Wow.
Daphne, you want to throw out the final word on this before we take our break?
Well, I mean, I was just surprised that the relatives in Nicaragua actually bothered.
The truth is, a lot of things in Nicaragua are done like do it yourself. So
well,
I'm not very shocked.
I'm talking about the fact that they took him to the police station and not disappeared the guy.
That is true. Yes.
But they were civilized, Harvard educated, so.
I've heard a lot of like justice stories out of of South America that doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
With the police. Yeah.
Yeah, because I have family in Brazil, and it's like, we kind of handle things a little bit different.
It usually ends with frantic immigration to the United States to stay away from other people.
So, what would your family in Brazil do to this guy who had his books stolen? The thief of the books.
Well, it's like the the first thing that came to mind when I heard when he said the story is, well, if the books are in a storage unit, they weren't that precious.
I was thinking the same. How can you trust a storage unit?
Right. It's like it's like, unless it's like the dude is like living in a shoebox or something.
That's what I'm
it's like,
thinking.
because I've it's like, look, you watch Hoarders, you watch enough of those shows, and you learn what people buy storage units for, and it's just usually a place to store garbage.
No, it's $10,000 worth of books.
No, I know people that pay good money to store comics because their wives, their girlfriends don't let them keep long boxes in their house, and they pay for the climate controlled environment and whatnot, not just the
That's
regular.
very true.
I like how
That's
you
true.
say their wives and girlfriends.
Yeah, what
Why
about the
can't
husband?
Why can't,
Look,
why can't the men?
Guillermo del Toro, his wife told him, you have to get your stuff, your collection elsewhere. And he bought a whole new house just for his fantasy and horror artwork collection.
But even if he had a dumpster in his yard and that's where he was storing his comic books, but let's be real, how much are the police going to investigate some stolen comic books? This is something he really did have to take into his own hands.
Right. Well, you see, that's the thing that didn't surprise me, because he would have never have those guys would have never have been caught if he didn't do the legwork.
Exactly.
As someone who's had situations dealing with police officers for a chronic issue, getting them to do anything is really hard.
That's true.
So the fact that it's like the cops were upset at him because he could have accidentally escalated a situation that they weren't interested in dealing with
in the first place, right?
But since he did all the legwork, all they had to do was finish the job. So
All right.
it's I don't know, it's a lot going on in that story.
More often than not, most crimes are investigatable and even solvable. It's just a question of wanting to allocate resources.
Right.
And if you're going to tell the public, yes, we spent 10 man hours on finding a guy's comic book collection, pretty much no one will be happy with that.
Except for the guys.
Except for that one guy. So and I also like how Mark's like, well, what do you mean? Why is it always a woman throwing the guys' comics out? Why can't a woman have, like, a woman can have comics, Mark, but she's going to value her comics over his comics.
Exactly.
Still make him throw his comics into somewhere else.
So
that's just how it goes.
That's it for the news. So with that, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. We came from the radio.
Hey everybody, this is Todd McFarlane of the record-setting Spawn comic series. And if you're looking for any kind of cool conversation about creators, about entertainment, about all that good stuff, you go to It Came From The Radio. You're listening to the right spot.
This is Quentin Flynn, a popular voice actor known for Axel, Timon, and writing from the Metal Gear series. And you're listening to It Came From The Radio. Stick around.
Hey, I'm Mike Kingston, the writer and creator of Headlocked, and I am WWE Hall of Famer Jerry the King Lawler. And guess what you're listening to? You're listening to It Came From The Radio.
Hi, this is Amy Jo Johnson, writer-director from the film The Space Between, and you're listening to It Came From The Radio.
Meet Grimlock having fun on It Came From The Radio. Meet Greg Berger also.
Now, back to our show.
And welcome back to A Game from Radio, the official Big Apple Con. This is your host, Mark Torres, speaking for our 57th live show, courtesy of the East Meadow Public Library, located in East Meadow, New York, where they have tons and tons of free programming of all different shapes and sizes. Make sure you guys go check it out, one of which is our show, at www.eastmeadow.info. And I am here with Fishy Sarcasm's Dominic Definition Man Serrano.
Hello, everybody.
We're here with L-Man Jenny Feldy.
Good evening.
And we have our special guest we're talking to with and about, which is Nita Lanning.
Hi.
And her guest is Daphne Lage.
Yeah, I'm her emotional support cartoonist.
No, you're just so bougie. You got a rider. It's like, I need a whole person here.
That's her entourage. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's important to have a ride or die.
Yeah, I'm her hype man.
I like it. And you hype up other people, and you are a promotional specialist, according to LinkedIn. And as a promotional specialist, you need someone to help you promote yourself. Makes sense. Like all therapists need a therapist, all trainers need a trainer.
Well, everyone knows all therapists are crazy.
Well, it
That's why they
helps
need
you
therapy.
understand.
Yeah.
Is there any
Same.
human who's not crazy? I don't know.
I'm pretty sane. That's why I'm boring.
So, Nita, I guess the most important question is, as owner and CEO of Raging 2 Services and Promotions, LLC, I love that, LLC is in there. What was Raging 1, and how did you wind up being in charge of Raging 2?
That was a question of mine.
Oh, well, Jenny Felder, do you have a question for Nita
No,
Lanning?
no, I'm just agreeing with you. Go on.
Ragin started as back in the day. I met Meredith Logren, and we hit it off pretty good. She was a creative and a big promoter for independence period, be it comic books, movies, prose writing, whatever. And one thing we learned is that a lot of these creative types, while they have some amazing products, they don't know how to get themselves out there, or they're too busy creating that they don't have the time to market themselves like they should or need to get more eyes on their project. And so after a whole debacle of Meredith tricking me into getting on camera and getting comfortable, which is still not my thing, we started a vlog called Ragin versus Asian and the Cajun. And a lot of people didn't like that, but because I was the Cajun and she was the Asian. And not only did we do promotional stuff, we did stupid stunts like eating the Carolina Reaper peppers.
Who won?
Or I did. I
Okay.
did, hands down. I ate 6 of those suckers, man. I regretted it
That's
for
impressive.
4 days after, but I put them down.
That's
And the
dedication
last
to
one
the
I
work.
ate, I'd already beat her by 1. The last one I ate, just because I had so much adrenaline going through me. I was just like, and watch this. And so we started getting like a small following, but it was the regular people showing up and they were engaging us in the chat and stuff. And then one by one, people started coming to us, and, you know, like they like, hey, can we talk about my crowd fund and whatever? And it kind of grew from that. And then God, and Meredith passed away in February after only 2 weeks of being diagnosed and having breast cancer.
Oh, wow.
And so it was kind of like, okay, so what do I do now? And it was just kind of, I'm like, okay, well, nobody cares who I am by myself, because it was us, and nobody, where do you go?
We care.
You know, well, thank you. Well, it's like,
Nobody cares about you by yourself. What?
but that's just my thing. I don't know. I have anxiety issues and stuff like
Okay.
that. Well, this
Who
woman
doesn't?
over here happened to be in the chat with me. Not only were we in a StreamYard when I got the phone call from Meredith's husband to let me know that she had passed away, but it was like immediately, like my whole world just was like, I don't know, I don't want to say I based my existence on Meredith, but my existence was with Meredith, you know what I mean?
You had such a
And so it
strong
was like
connection.
it was like everything just all the threads just fell apart. And Daphne was like right there, like from go, like, I got you. And so after I got back from Florida and I got all of our client information and all the YouTube information in the StreamYard and everything from Meredith's home computer, came back, and Daphne and I talked, and we rebranded to make it something different, because I mean, the Asian versus Cajuns are gone. That's done. So what do? That you got to rebrand everything, but still do it with honor, because it was Meredith who helped start it. You know, anytime you want to talk, Daphne, talk.
You're doing fine. You're doing
Yeah,
fine.
you're doing fine. You're
No,
doing
I'm
fine.
not.
I'm just here to be visually supportive of you.
Oh
You're
my
doing
gosh.
fine.
You could have
Um,
kept it Asian if Daphne dressed up. You know, there
yeah,
are
but see, then we,
costumes.
but see,
That
then
would
we
be a
get that might
completely
a
different
problem.
show.
That's
Yeah,
probably
that
what I
would
would say. I'd be like,
yeah, that-
listen, I don't want to make any changes. I don't like change. You're Asian.
I don't I don't like change at all. And that would have been so simple. And I would have totally gone for that. But I also wouldn't have a channel anymore, probably. So
Hey,
You're
I
telling
mean,
me-
maybe she identifies as Asian.
No, not nowhere. There's nowhere.
Hey,
In my
I'm an A
genealogy.
Filipino. All right.
Do you have any other part of your identity that just rhymes with Cajun?
No.
Uh-huh.
No,
There you
not
go.
at the- no, not
just
at
the
all.
Ragin, and that was
Right.
already there. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. My ancestry goes back to the Visigoths. So yeah, it doesn't
No.
rhyme.
Wow. By the way, is there any Cajun that's not Ragin?
No.
No, you're all Ragin.
We're all angry.
Yeah, it's the heat. It's the
Yeah,
heat.
it's the heat and the humidity.
Yeah, I get
Or
it.
Sajin. What if she's spiritual and she sages a lot?
No,
Cajun and
would
the
no,
Sajin.
that wouldn't work either.
So how many different names did you How many different names did you go through for
One.
yourself? Just one. That was it.
One, that was it. It was that was it. Well, no, I think we might have had one or two, but it was like within moments of having the conversation, it was just like, okay, keep it simple, Ragin 2, and everything that we do is dedicated to the life and memory of Meredith Lauren.
Have you ever thought about giving it like a subtext of or an add-on onto the name Ragin 2, Rage Harder? Something like that.
It thought about it, but it was just like, man, we just stuck with Ragin 2, all things nerdy and sometimes a little dirty.
They see that you did it then. You got to, Raging 2, of course, is a sequel. You have to have something extra.
What, like Electric Boogaloo?
That's
Yeah,
exactly
like-
the thought process.
That was exactly
the
the
thought
process.
process that I had. Yeah, because it's like I wanted to take some of that heavy mental lifting off of her with the rebranding, and I go,
Yeah.
look, let's keep it simple, but also it's like, look, it's like we named it 2 because it's a sequel, right? We're
Like-
gonna be a sequel, but you know how sequels are never as good as the original.
Yeah,
I mean, it was like that. So yes, it was like electric. Like honestly, the original name that I had thrown out there was something like Electric Boogaloo or something. I forgot.
Was.
And then it was just like it I don't know. It just felt natural to just be a little silly and kind of get ourselves through that. And then we settled in on just the Ragin 2 and left it at that.
I say just take a look at the Fast and Furious franchise. Everything is slightly different, Fast and Furious, Too Fast, Too Furious, Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. It get just just a slight change, but you always know it's a Fast and Furious movie. Fate of the Furious, the Fast and Furious. Yeah, you could do that. Just thought.
So Jen, you got a question for Anita?
Yeah. So what would you say are your top 3 tips for helping comic book creators to promote themselves?
Social media presence is extremely important on multiple platforms, but you will quickly find which one gets you the most engagement, and that's where you need to put your most effort. So that would be one. I can't say that. Don't be a jerk.
I didn't say don't be a jerk.
Yeah, well, that,
Yeah, you could say
not
that.
what I wasn't going to say jerk.
She was going to say fire, BIT.
Don't be a jerk. When do the podcast, go on the interviews. It's important because every podcast you go on, no matter how small their audience is, there's going to be at least one other person over there that might like your stuff that's never heard of you before. So don't pass on that opportunity. And
hence you're on the show today.
And fulfill. Like, always fulfill.
So keep
always
your promises.
do what you said. Okay.
Always do what you're going to say. If it's not your very first rodeo, you better have an honorable history of fulfillment. Like if I ordered something from you, I expect to get it.
What about like
isn't that
incentives?
insane? Isn't that insane?
Incentives can be a good thing, but I mean,
Like
I
to the
don't.
audience, maybe like, oh, if you comment on this, or if you, I don't know, maybe something to get them to post about it, like post a picture with the book, and then they'll do something. I don't know.
I mean, to me, I don't know. I don't really think incentives are always necessary, but they can sometimes make things fun. Like I like stretch goal incentives when they play them like a game, like revealing them slowly. Like when we get here, we're gonna unlock this, and then we're gonna show you what it is, and think within the campaign. But yeah.
So no bribing then.
It works for Congress.
I mean, so I've seen people do it, and it might work for some. It's not something I would like recommend.
I would call it more gamifying the process.
Yeah, gamifying the process.
I would, it's you're giving, and it is a type of incentive for people to back a campaign. But you're doing it in a way where it's kind of like you're chasing, the Sonic the Hedgehog rings.
Dominic, you got a question for Nita?
I felt that, the chasing of the Sonic rings, and then suddenly getting hit by a spike, and you lose all the rings. No, I have no questions at this time, sir.
I know Jen has a slew of questions. So Jen, what do you got?
What's your favorite thing to promote, or maybe like top 1, 2, 3 comics that you really feel passionate about promoting and think that the world needs to see right now?
I absolutely, and this is gonna sound like a total simp fest because she's with me. I have absolutely always loved JD Calderon and Daphne Lage's Tall Tales.
Yeah, it's so likable.
I love it, and I want more eyes on that project. It's always my favorite. Just the how I ended up with Daphne is insane anyway. Tall Tales. Tall Tales is currently my favorite independent comic.
Well, on the flip side of that, because you are a promotional machine, has there been a situation where you were asked to promote something that you did not 100% did not like or follow?
Absolutely, all the time.
And why didn't you like it?
Well, okay, for me, one, and this always gets me like snarled at, I am not a fan of superhero comics whatsoever, but I have no problem promoting someone. It because it, to me, while it's not always about the product being targeted to me, it's about the people whose eyes do need to be on said person's project. Like I will. No, there are people I won't back because they're a jerk or support for that. But any creative, they deserve, they're putting their blood, sweat, and tears into this, and I really want to support the people.
Wow. So provided that the person is not a jerk, but if they present to you something that is just unforgivably horrid, you still be like, yeah, still promote it.
Okay, here's the deal. I will let you come on my network and let people view you on the shows and stuff to see if maybe there's somebody out there that's into your thing, whether it's for me or not, that it's up to them but I'll let you show it and they can see it. However, I will not do paid promotion for them because I will not take money from someone that I do not feel I'm giving my best and my all to.
So for me,
go ahead, Don.
My thing was I personally would never read a script that had to do with ninjas.
Oh, why?
Because they were always terrible. And it was always whenever anyone like came to me, like, I have a script I want you to read. It's about this ninja. And I'm like,
No, I'm
just
good.
hand it off to another editor.
You handed it off to another editor. You didn't
just
tell them, no, this is crap and throw it away. You didn't do that.
I never
you
ever
passed it on to someone else.
I've never told anyone to their face that something was crap. I never did that. But what I would tell them is like, all right, can you distill this down to 6 words? And if they couldn't distill it down to 6 words, I said, you need to be working on your pitch.
The worst I've ever said is, please don't ask me this live.
That's a good one. That's a good one. But yeah, ninjas in particular, if someone came to me with a script about ninjas, And we've put out Ninja comics in the past. I'm just like, I cannot and will not work on a Ninja because it's always bad, in my opinion. It was always a bad story. So there's got to be something that you're just like the moment, I guess superheroes for you, that it's like the moment someone comes to you with something for about superheroes, like, I'll help you, but I ain't going to like it, but I'll help you. But
Jen,
there
what's
you go.
next on your list?
Okay, so this is just okay. There's a lot of talk about body positivity. There was a Sports Illustrated thing with a plus size model, and
Where
then
did that come from? Who was
Let's
talking about
see
this
what
in
she
the
got.
show?
Wait, she got it.
I'm
Wait,
so curious.
I like it because she always
Here we
goes. She
go.
always gets there. The journey,
Yeah,
the destination will
you'll
get
She
see.
there.
always gets there. It's sometimes
see.
bumpy and you're barely live at the end of it, but you get there.
That I saw someone had tweeted, commented. There was a very fit looking girl, and they said this is bad because it's promoting like unrealistic standards. So for me, I mean, I don't really care either way personally, but I see there's a lot of backlash about, you know, posting things and sharing things with unrealistic body types. And now comic books are full of on these unattainable body types unless you're going to get surgery. That I mean,
Right,
and
for
for
sure.
men, for women, and for men. So do you, as a promoter, do you have any thoughts about these comic illustrations causing
Absolutely.
people to have body issues?
If you have body issues, it goes far deeper than a beautifully overly busty woman on a piece of paper.
Because they're like, I'll never be like her unless I go to Dr.
You know,
Cohen.
No, you won't, because it's a freaking fantasy. It's made up. It's their lines. Their lives don't even matter. They're drawn. Like it just I don't like.
Have you heard any backlash about this promoting like eating disorders? Cartoons creating eating disorders?
Personally, no, but I have heard stories of people being confronted about it, and it's just like, you know, I'm sorry for you if you feel that way. Like, but there are some women that are more reasonably figured throughout comics. Now, the huge busty woman with the waist this big, that's not my bag, but I love Julie Winters from the Max. She's got her little pot belly and her dimply booty and reasonably sized breast. You know, those women are out there. If it's not your bag, don't, you know, just.
I just wonder, my last thought, I'll let someone talk, but the last time I went to Comic-Con, they're just oversized, sorry, but obese versions of a lot of the comics. That's what Comic-Con is to me. It's like, you want to see an obese Mr. Freeze? Sure. You want to see obese
go to a Comic-Con.
Wonder Woman? Sure. And it's like, you know, it's got to be sad when, you know, the standard American diet, which pretty much promotes high blood pressure and diabetes and obesity, or at least being overweight, is if your parents are giving you the American diet, these kids are not going to be able to fit into these comic book costumes. They're never going to look like these people. So it's just a thought of mine. It's like, yeah. I mean, I have nothing against it again, but it's just interesting. The real life is so different.
So before we get to the social media portion, this does remind me of a story when we used to cover conventions. Well, we still do, but I remember back in the old days when we were on the air, there were always like certain staples whenever we used to go to certain conventions, and we were always looking for overweight Spider-Man. And if you know it's a convention when you have overweight Spider-Man there. That's just how it is. True. It's just one of those things. You're going to find one. So it is social media time. So Nita, where can people find out more about you and the company?
You can find us on Facebook. I have the Ragin Indie Comics promotions page, which is free for everybody to hop on and share their stuff. You can find us on YouTube at, I think it's crud. I don't know. There's a link. I'm sure you'll post it for me. And on Twitter, I am at C_chaos247. That's like, and pretty much everywhere I'm at C_chaos, or drop the @ in or Nita Lanning on Facebook.
And you also do your own shows, right? What days, what times?
Oh, on Mondays and Fridays, Daphne and I do a vlog at 11 p.m. Eastern where we talk about the marketing side of crowdfunding mostly.
Do you find that there cannot be enough talk of marketing side of
Absolutely
production?
not, because nobody listens. So we got to keep on until they get it.
I'm sorry, what were you saying? I wasn't listening.
Exactly.
Keep it on, keep it on.
So
And there's always going to be the newcomer that's going to be so riddled with the bad advice that people give. Like was it the last episode we did where we went over the crowdfunding?
Oh
list
yeah,
that had like 30 freaking rules to crowdfunding, and it's like at the end of it, I was so frustrated. It's like, no, there's like 7 or 8 things. Okay,
right, yeah. It was excessive. It was excessive, and it was mostly like fluff. It's
Yeah.
what you. It was like it's advice you give to somebody who's just starting, but you don't know what to tell them. So you just tell them anything just so that they feel like they're doing something. But no, your campaign is not going to improve over a pie chart. Trust
So
me.
wait, are you telling me that they should not run up and down the street naked with the exception of a sandwich board screaming about their project?
Well, that wasn't
Oh,
on the
I like that.
list, so.
so that means they can do it.
sure, why not?
You'll definitely get noticed.
But will they pledge?
That's a good question. Probably just to get rid of you.
Right.
So what is the one tip you can give to people right now about crowdfunding? What is the biggest one tip?
Do not come out of the box expecting people to get, like, if you are unheard of, do not come out of the box with a 10K crowdfund. That is like the number one mistake. For some reason, everybody seems to think that 10K looks like a good rounded number, and you see so many first timers come up with that number, and then it's like, what are we going to give you all this money for?
An evening with me in the city.
Yeah, no.
Ooh.
Well, I guess she's not going to go for our 10K Patreon.
That is true.
Sure.
We actually have that on our Patreon page for $10,000. You can get an evening with our very own Dominic Definition Man Sperano. It takes you all the best comic book stores in the city and
Bars too.
Bars. That was it. Bars and comic book stores.
Bars and
$10,000.
$10,000.
Nice
$15,000 you're supposed to get an evening with Jen, but I think she retracted.
Yeah. So it's still there. We still got it. She's just not promoting it.
She's just
there.
yeah, okay.
So we're almost out of time. So we got final thoughts. So let's start with Elman Jenny Feller. Do you have a final thought for us?
Just thanks for promoting artwork. We need people who promote. We need someone to teach people how to promote, because being an artist doesn't always come with the business sense. So I'm sure a lot of people appreciate you. So good karma to you.
Thank you.
Dominic, final thought?
If they're Ragin, they must be Cajun.
Or Asian. Or Asian.
I've met many Asian people. None of them are ever raging.
Oh,
Ever.
One. I know one. But he was half Asian.
Must have been born in America.
He was half.
There you go.
Daphne, you have any final thoughts?
Nobody is going to be the loudest cheerleader for your stuff but you. So even if you do hire Nita or anybody to promote your work, you still have to do the work to promote it.
Right.
This is not, you're not delegating, you're just doubling your efforts.
Oh, okay. Nita, final thought.
Don't be a jerk. It's that easy.
You hear that, Lou Ferrigno?
My final thought is this. Nita, it's a pleasure to actually speak with you and virtually having a guest on the show. Thank you for coming in at the last minute for our scheduled guest, which is Michael Gracia. He has a scheduled surgery, so best wishes to him. Also, I want to say that I did manage to speak to Meredith shortly before she passed away, and you are doing her justice on everything she's done. She was a very nice person, and just the few interactions I've had with her, you're carrying on the legacy very, very much. So thank you for that. So that's about it for this week on It Came From Radio. Join us right here any week on this radio station. If you miss any part of this show,
tough.
Thank you. Go to our website, www.itcamefromradio.com. Listen to our archive for any week or so. Our next live show, courtesy of the East Meadow Public Library, that's www.eastmeadow.info, will be on July the 13th with comic creator Christian S. Aluas. So that we're going to see you next time.
You've been listening to It Came From the Radio with Mark Torres. The views of the show's hosts and guests did not necessarily reflect that of the management, owners, or staff of the station. We now return you to your earthly scheduled broadcast.